like his Studio B. And we want to say good evening to everyone, and we give God all the praise and glory. We thank him for life, health, and strength. We thank him for as well as it is. My brothers and my sisters, we come to you tonight we want to stay on a positive beat, y'all, no matter what. Old Midiman didn't feel his best earlier tonight. And I was trying to wait on to get a group call with my group members and Junior Walker and Gospel Tritones, and I began to feel totally out of it. Around about 7 o'clock, I began to feel kind of weak and bad, in other words. But I held on by the grace of God because I wanted to stay up and stay together with wait on a phone call from one of my group members, Sonia. And I was also had told Mary and Lola that I was called them, and we would have a conference call and everything. So I weathered the storm by the help of the good Lord. And we just wanted to say that God will always see us through if we rely on him. And I wanted to come here to do this live video at this time of night because of the fact that I often told y'all that as the Lord give me word, I would pass it on. And I wanted to say something to my brother and sister on this evening, that the Lord is always watching. The Lord is always watching. He knows all about us. We don't have to tell him anything because he already knows all about us. And what I want to tell everybody tonight, if you have and all of us had, and I'm not going to even say if, but if you have lived long enough on this planet, you done had somebody to deceive you, somebody that was close to you. And I wanted to let everybody know that don't be too hard on them because they are only human, just like you and me. People mean well, some of them, but we are human and we are frail. We are not flawless. We will make mistakes and we will fall short. That's just a given. And so when people fail you and people maybe deceive you, it doesn't feel good, and I know it. Been there, done that. But you got to learn how to get over that and go on, because people are frail and people will fail you. People will fail you. The only somebody that won't ever fail you, and that's the Lord himself, Jesus. He will never fail. So we must put our trust totally in him. Said this, that Jesus, when he walked this planet, and his mission was to save the whole world. And Jesus had 12 disciples. And as you know, out of those 12, he had 3 that he called his inner circle. Jesus felt that he always could depend on Peter, James, and John. He always felt that he could depend on them 3 because he took those 3. Those 3 was with him when he was transfigured in front of them. They saw Jesus in all his glory. Peter, James, and John saw this. Peter, James, and John seen Jesus raise the dead girl and brought her back to life. He always had Peter, James, and John with him in everything, in every area in the ministry, whereas where the rest of the disciples was not there. And then on the night of his betrayal, all of them left him alone, and they scattered because they was afraid of the Jews, the temple leaders and the Roman soldiers and whatnot, whatever the reason was, but every one of them scattered. But Peter and John stayed close by, and they went on to Judgment Hall where Jesus was carried. So they did, Peter and John stayed close to keep eye and keep watch on what they would do to their master. But I often wonder, where was James? I guess James was negotiating with the priests and the leaders of the temple to let Jesus go. I guess. I'm just saying that, y'all. I'm just saying that. I doubt that he was there, but I can't say for certain. But at any rate, we know that Peter and John was at Judgment Hall where Jesus was being tried that night. And it even said that John even went into the Judgment Hall. He did. Peter, he stayed on the outside around the fire with the enemy, but he was there. How many of us, we have friends that we call friends that have said or told you at any given point in time that they with you. They with you no matter what. But as soon as you became in a little trouble, or when you seemed to have needed them the most, and you looked around and they was not there. Like I say, people, don't get upset with them. They are human. They subject to fail. 9 times out of 10, that is when we're going to fail. It's when most of us, not everybody, but most of us, when we are put to the test and we get afraid and everything, and we see the heat being turned up, we getting out of there. That's just the way most people think. In other words, they'll tell you, I told my buddy Hammerman this here, and I said, people say they're going to stick with you through thick and thin, but they'll stick with you while it's thin, but when it get thick, you're on your own. That's the basic premise. But nevertheless, my friends, my brothers and sisters, Midiman just wanted to let you know that stay on the positive side, that, give people credit. They can't help it. You can't help when you fail either, to a degree. If you do, you're only human. And that just means that you got to go back to the master to gain strength again and pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and try again. That's all you can do. Jesus already knows our troubles. Jesus already paid for our sins, past, present, and future. He knows all about us, people. And he intercedes for us forever in the front of his Father's throne. He's right there at his right hand, making intercession for me, making intercessions for you. And that is comforting to know, especially when we know that we are so frail and that we are subject to make a mistake in a New York minute. All right, Hammerman. We are subject to make a mistake in a New York minute. This is what's so good to know that we have an advocate, and his name is Jesus, that stands and goes on our case and plead our case on every call. Every time we fall, he's already there pleading to the Father for your case and for my case. And we want to say, my brothers and sisters, like I said on earlier tonight, I did not feel the greatest in everything. I didn't feel so great early part of the night. But we thank God that I was able to meet with my group partially. We had one member that was out, and we give her an excuse. We excuse her because of the fact I kind of figured that she was having some sort of problem, and then lo and behold, we do know that it was a family issue, and we are, Sister Lola, we are praying for you and your family members at this time for whatever they're going through, and with your brother also ill. We just praying for you and with you, and we're gonna say that God is able. God is able to carry you through. So just be of good cheer. Jesus got it. Don't ever think that Jesus do not have it. And so I just wanted to say to all of my cyber friends and to newfound friends, like I say, we want to give a shout out to Deacon Wright and his wife Clara. We thank God for both of you. And matter of fact, and certainly for what your wife, Deacon Wright, Sister Clara, done for you on the gift that she gave you by buying my book. And she knew nothing about me, but she only found out through Facebook rather, that I did have the book. And she went and got the book for you. And that was a very, very unselfish act. And we are saying to our Sister Clara, we thank God for you, sister. We got you as a contact so me and Deacon Wright can continue through your account. And we can kind of stay in contact and then touch. And so we just saying that we are so glad to have newly found friends. I'm going to call you a friend, really and true, because I got friends that, you know what I mean, we all have friends. And the Bible said there is a friend that sticketh closer than a brother. So you know what I mean? Sometimes, like I say, it's not always that your family member that's going to be there for you. You know, Jesus even told us that. Jesus said that himself, said, you know, in the last days, you know, family member would betray one another. You know, it's mothers against daughters and fathers against sons. That's family. In other words, we sometimes, and I know we hate to say that, but nevertheless, it is true. We are not going to make Jesus out of a lie. And that's how come I tell people, why are you surprised when you see people acting a certain way? They can't help it to a degree, because Jesus has said that these days will come, and lo and behold, people, they are here. They are here. So my advice to all of us is to stay as close to the Lord as possible. Put our hand in his hand, walk closely with him. And when we get disappointed by our fellow man, we won't fall so hard, and it won't be so hard for us to get back up and dust ourselves off. But just remember, don't fault them so much, because they are only human, just like you, just like me. And we all are subject to fail each other at any given time. But we pray to God that he will give us the strength so we will not fail each other. And I feel that we should strive to not fail each other. We should be on one accord. We should love our brothers and our sisters, not only biological, but I'm talking about also spiritual. We should love our brothers and sisters and do right by them, just like you want people to do right by you. Jesus said, do unto others as you would have them to do unto you. I know a lot of people don't feel that way. They want you to do unto them, but they ain't studying you. In other words, that's not a way to be. That's selfishness. But at any rate, we thank God for all of you. And I'm going to say also, I want to give a shout out to the class of 80. In other words, every one of you, let us we applaud y'all for what you're doing for the class members, and one of them is me, and we just appreciate what you've done and what you are doing and what you are trying to do, and we all need to get together and come together and do what is right. And matter of fact, I saw a class message from my sister Ivory. I saw a class message from our president, Brother Robert. I've seen a message from our dear brother, Reverend Jimmy Reynolds. In other words, we need to do better if we can. People do what we can. Let us do the best we can. And then, you know, when you do your best, nothing else is left. You can't do no more than your best. Let's try to do our best. And we're going to be forever. We are lifting everybody up in prayer. And we're going to keep everybody in prayer, like our sister Ivory stated in the classmate.com. I think it was in Classmate. It was the Facebook group, I think, Classmates. And she posted in there, and I agree with it 100%. Let us pray for each other, because we do have some sick members of our class. I'm included. Matter of fact, but thank God that I ain't as bad as I once was. I thank God for that. God has brought me a mighty long way. And I'm praying that he would do also for the rest of the ill class members, those that are sick and under the weather. We are praying for them as well. So with that being said, Midiman gonna go on and get off here now. You know, we always say this here, that whatever you get into, if God is not in it, please, ma'am, please, sir, come out of it, because it will come to nothing. And until the next video, next Bible study, whichever comes first, it's Midiman, y'all, saying peace and good morning.